The Mandalorian Season 3 has finished, and now it's time to look back on the season as a whole.
There's nothing left.
And break down our 6 key takeaways from the show as we prepare to move on to the next chapter. Strap yourselves in, guys, because this season actually leaves us more questions than answers. So to kick things off today, we're going to start on a positive, and that is going to be a green circle for Grogu. Now, I know what you're saying. Why is he picking Grogu? He didn't really have much to do this season. Now, I do agree with that, and I also think they probably could have left him with Luke Skywalker that little bit longer rather than bringing the two together in the Book of Boba, and really him not being a part of Season 3 because he wasn't really involved. However, he did come into it a little bit more at the end. But as he was in Season 3, the way they handled him I think was very effective. Now, Grogu as a character is powerful, he's very young, he's obviously Force sensitive, and with that they run the risk of him falling into the same trap that Rey fell into when they designed that character, and that was having little to no training or being in a position where they shouldn't really be as powerful as they are, and it coming across a bit fake. Now with Grogu, they didn't fall through that trap. They've put him in the background, they've showed you that all of this chaos can go on around him and he can be very, very vulnerable still. Although with that, they also show his potential at the same time, like we saw in the season final when he did use the Force a little bit more. Now, there are countless times in Season 3 where if Grogu raised his hand and used the Force, he could have stopped a lot of the issues happening. But that didn't happen. That just shows you how inconsistent he is because of his age and where he is in his training and his development. Now, towards the final, they showed you that he can save a day here or there, but they haven't affected the dynamic between him and Din Djarin, whereas Din is still very much protecting Grogu, and it's not Grogu protecting Din so much when he gets in trouble. So for that, I think the character, they've handled him very well, and I think we'll see more training going forwards with Grogu becoming a Mandalorian. Now he's a Mandalorian apprentice, but also potentially honing in on his Force abilities as well. Now whether Din's going to do that himself, maybe he's going to go looking for his own Jedi texts or something similar to that effect to help Grogu, or he's going to go seek out other Force sensitives to help train him. We'll have to see. But Grogu overall, I think was handled very good in Season 3. Slow and steady wins the race, as they say. Now, the next circle is going to be an orange one. This one is circle number 2, and it's going to go for focus. The overall focus of this season, not contradicting what I've just said about Grogu, however, but it was very much based around Bo-Katan as opposed to Din and Grogu. Now, I did like what they've done with Bo-Katan, the character this season. I did like the whole story of the Mandalorians returning to Mandalore. I was very much looking forward to that when it was first alluded to in Season 2. However, by doing so, they seem to have given 80% of the time to Bo-Katan, and whatever's left, 20%, to Din and Grogu to share, amongst others like the Armor and Paz Vizsla and everyone else. I do feel, although the show is called The Mandalorian, and it doesn't specify what Mandalorian it is, it could be Din, it could be Bo, it could be the Armorer next season, we don't know. I do feel like the first 2 seasons, focusing on Din Djarin and Grogu, a father and son type relationship as they explore the galaxy, do these little adventures that lead up to a bigger mission in the season finals ultimately. I feel like it was a bit of departure from that, and they're the 2 reasons that we're so invested in The Mandalorian as we are now. They're the reasons why we tuned in for Season 3. So hopefully going forwards, now they've told this story, they can return to a similar kind of format and we can go from there. Overall, though I enjoyed this season, I do feel like they could have given a little bit more time to Din and Grogu and their development, especially Din's development. He had little to none this time around. Now, circle number 3 is going to be actually for Bo-Katan. Now, despite me feeling like she got a little bit too much time in the spotlight here, what they did do with the character was very good. They turned her from the start of the season to pretty much being a 0, down on her luck, defeated, no forces, no Darksaber. She's kind of just sitting there waiting around, to being very much one of the heroes at the end of the season. She wielded the Darksaber again before it was, spoiler, destroyed. Whether it'll be fixed again and she'll pick it up again, who knows. Hopefully we'll see in the future. But she also united the Mandalorian. She spent time with the Children of the Watch. She had that rich character development that showed her coming from one place to another and all the struggle in the middle that helped her get there. She very much corrected the errors of her past, and now she's put Mandalore on the right track to restore themselves and to be a powerhouse in the galaxy once more. Bo-Katan this season has went way up there in my rankings, and now she's one of my favourite Star Wars characters, full stop. So I look forward to seeing where her journey takes her next. Now, circle number 4, and that's going to be another green one, and that is going to be for the Empire. Now, we've learned that these aren't just Imperial remnants scattered around across the galaxy, disorganized, dysfunctional. That is not the case at all, although we thought it is for the first 2 seasons and much of season 3. They're actually still very much connected, communicating with each other, but they're wanting to appear as Imperial remnants so they're not hunted too viciously by the New Republic, so it gives them time to enact their plans in the shadows for when they eventually make their return to the known galaxy. They're pretty much working underground, they're gathering their forces, they're gathering resources, they're rebuilding, and they're awaiting the grand plan, which I assume is the grand arrival of Admiral Thrawn, and then that will lead on to whatever shows they put out next with the Ahsoka Skeleton Crew show, potentially some of the movies that are on the horizon as well, which I think is a big positive. It adds much more of a threat to the galaxy than just having scattered pieces of the Empire here, there and everywhere. They're working together, they're one functioning unit, and they're effectively evading the detection of the New Republic. Now, circle number 5 is going to be an orange circle, and this was a tricky one to put between green and orange, but I'm going to go with orange this time around, and it's for the future. Now, they have quietly set up what's to come in the future, but by no means was it obvious. We had talk of Thrawn's return amongst the Shadow Council, the Imperial remnants, or so they want to be seen as. We've seen the resources they have, the Praetorian Guards sending bombers to support Gideon, and apparently these other forces have even more than he does, so they're going to be an even bigger threat going forwards. We got a nod with Zed from Rebels appearing as well. We expect him to be in the Ahsoka show, so that can be one little nod to the Ahsoka series, but a very subtle one. We had Vane, the pirate, fleeing when Gorian Shard's ship was destroyed and he was seemingly killed, and we know Vane now is going to be appearing in the Skeleton Crew show, which is the 3rd Mandoverse show this year, and it's going to be closer towards the end of the year, just after Ahsoka finishes, I guess. But we also get clues, and these are some of the unanswered questions that we have. Gideon's clones, they didn't get a lot of time on screen at all. For this big build-up, this was his grand plan. The Dark Troopers were pretty much just a piece of the puzzle. This is what it was all leading to. They died, they got destroyed very unceremoniously, very quickly, and to be honest with you, what happened with the clones for me was a little bit disappointing. So I would like to think how they're going to dig into that again in the future, whether it's going to be with Thrawn in any of the other upcoming shows, or whether it's going to be in the Dave Filoni movie that's, I think, scheduled for 2026. Hopefully we haven't seen the last of the Gideon clones, and we could look back on season 3 of The Mandalorian in a couple years time and realise that this is where it's all started, and they're actually setting up more in this season than we initially thought. Now, although I've said a lot of positives about what they've set up for the future here, I don't think it was enough. I think we should have had a Thrawn cameo or some sort of Thrawn nod that his arrival is very imminent. Maybe, you know, he is already here now towards the end of the season or in a post-credit scene, or potentially some Rebels characters or even just one Rebel character appearing and interacting with Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, or even Grogu, you know, through the Force if it was Ahsoka, just to tell him that, you know, there is something happening now, you can't really rest up, and this is what's happening next, just to show the audience on screen. Because if you're a normal fan and you don't watch every single Star Wars show, but you like The Mandalorian, you might completely dismiss the Ahsoka trailer as being irrelevant to The Mandalorian, and you'll just stick to The Mandalorian and then go and watch season 4 of The Mandalorian next year, when actually you want to be watching the Ahsoka show, the Skeleton Crew show. It's all building up a bigger picture, but there was no nod to it in The Mandalorian season 3. Now, circle number 6 to wrap things up today is going to be Mandalore. Now, Mandalore has been restored, it's back, and it's now a powerhouse, or it should be a powerhouse in the galaxy after they've re-established themselves properly, started maybe building some structures, some ships, and getting some organisation down there. Now, a reformed Mandalore, a reunited Mandalore, has the potential to be a huge help to the New Republic in the galaxy, as it looks like they're heading towards another big battle between the Empire and the Republic. So it's nice to see the planet finally return, and it really wraps up that story that started when Bo-Katan dropped in season 2 of The Mandalorian and proposed that idea to Din Djarin initially. Overall, I will say I think this season was good. Was it my favourite season of The Mandalorian? No. Did I hate it? No. I enjoyed it. I think it was good. I was excited each week, anticipating what the next episode's going to bring us. And I did enjoy most of the episodes we had, and I think they wrapped the season up very well, which could also be an ending for The Mandalorian full stop if we didn't know there was a season 4 on the cards. As we say, we get the quiet nods into what's going to happen next, and we know the Ahsoka series is really going to push the story of the Empire, Thrawn's return forwards, and then we'll hopefully pick up with that in Skeleton Crew Season 4 of The Mandalorian. The season gave us a lot to talk about, a lot to speculate about, a lot of theories, and it's going to leave us with a lot to think about as we wait for the next shows to come out. I feel like it's really come around full circle now. They started The Mandalorian in Season 1 with Din meeting Grogu. Season 2, it continued that story, met Luke Skywalker, brought us the Book of Boba Fett. Season 3 comes around, and the whole Gideon situation, for now at least, is over. Now they can go and do what it seems like Din Djarin has always wanted to do, and that was live a quiet life, let Grogu grow up as a kid, let him play outside, and just take a step back from all the madness. Almost like they're beginning their adventures again before they got hooked in with the craziness of Gideon and Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett and all the rest of it. Now it does leave us with a lot to think about as we go forwards into the other Star Wars projects, even Mando Season 4 potentially. One of them things is Gideon's clones. Are we seeing more of them in the future, perhaps in another show, perhaps in Dave Filoni's movie, or in the movie that's going to be a sequel to The Rise of Skywalker? Could it be picked up there? As we know that Rey's going to be a part of it, and there's reports today that Finn's going to be a part of it as well. So what's going to happen with that? Are we going to see more of the clones? But also another one which hopefully will get addressed in either Dave's or the Rey movie would be Mandalore not being in the sequels. No mention, no reference to Mandalore at all. Has something happened to them again? Or were they just not involved? Were they just staying neutral in the whole affair? That's one thing we need to think about, and hopefully we get answers as well for that one. But guys, let me know what you think of The Mandalorian Season 3. Drop your scores below in the comments. Remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Leave a like, it's appreciated. I'll catch you in the next one. This is the way.